This hour, as you heard, Facebook has bought the mobile messaging service WhatsApp for $19 billion in cash and stock. And if you're not familiar with the app, well, let me show it to you. This is what it looks like right here. It's pretty straightforward. It runs on Android, it runs on iOS, BlackBerry, and other smartphone platforms, and allows people to exchange messages. Now, how many users does WhatsApp have? Well, it's not so simple. One thing to bear in mind about chat apps is that the number of users alone can be misleading because you can download multiple apps to your phone, meaning that one person can be both a WhatsApp user and a WeChat user. But if we look at active users, WhatsApp is far ahead. It says it has 450 million monthly active users. And compare that to WeChat, with 271 million active users. And then there's Viber, just bought by the Japanese firm Rakuten last week for less than $1 billion. Viber only has 100 million monthly active users. Despite the numbers, it's still a pretty incredible price to pay for a company that's just a few years old. Let's get more now from a Silicon Valley insider. Tech writer Malik joins me live via Skype from San Francisco. Thank you so much for joining us here on CNN International. And you got to answer this question. Why did Facebook fork up so much money to buy WhatsApp?
You know, there are two reasons why they did that. Number one, it's a defensive move. If you look around, there's very few companies on the internet which still have 1 billion people using that service. So, you know, WhatsApp is getting close to that billion number. So I think in some way deep down, folks like Mark Zuckerberg know that where the competition is going to come from and how it's going to threaten their business. That's the number one reason. The number two reason is that how we are using the internet in the United States is different from what people use the internet for in other countries. For instance, communications through apps like WhatsApp is the killer app of the mobile internet in places like India and, you know, in the Middle East, in Asia, because that's the way people like to, you know, interact with each other, share information. And I think from that perspective, WhatsApp looked like a big threat to Facebook. So, you know, what seems like an insane amount of money is not insane when you feel a little worried about your, you know, long-term prospects as a company.
Okay, so Facebook bought into WhatsApp because this is a trend in messaging. They got to go there. And also it's a defensive move. But $19 billion, come on, is it really worth it?
Well, it's funny money, right? Like if you look at where Facebook stock was a year ago and where it is, it's almost up like in triple digits. So it's just they're paying a lot of it with stock. The cash they're paying is about $4 billion. But think about it this way. The $4 billion gets them into a market they've been craving to get into. They get even more control over the mobile attention, right? Think about it. Things we do on mobile phones are basically defining like the success and failures of companies. So the more we use something on our mobile phone, the more valuable it becomes. It's the same thing. Facebook, Instagram, and now WhatsApp. What Facebook is saying is they'll do whatever it takes to control as much attention of ours on the mobile platform. I think, yes, it sounds like crazy amount of money to a person who's not in Silicon Valley. But, you know, if you look at the world through the eyes of Mark Zuckerberg, this makes like perfect sense to him, right? It may not make sense to you and I, but to him, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for just trying to explain the logic behind this move from Zuckerberg and the funny money and everything else. We'll have to leave it at that. But Malik joining me live from Silicon Valley. Thank you so much.